Damien Hart's footsteps echoed like gunshots across the marble floor as he stormed into the mansion. His jaw was clenched, his chest heaving with a fury he couldn't tame. He had just left a board meeting gone horribly wrong, and a trending post online hinting at a deep family secret had pushed him over the edge. Nothing irritated him more than losing control over his company, over his home, over himself. The mansion staff scattered like startled birds. They knew that walk, that expression, that dangerous silence. Everyone kept their heads down. No one dared breathe too loudly. Then the sound happened. A crash. A shattering. Sharp, ear-splitting. Damien's head snapped toward it. There, near the base of the grand staircase, stood Marla Rivers, the tiny, frail cleaner he barely noticed most days, her hands shaking, her eyes wide with terror. At her feet lay the scattered remains of a crystal sculpture worth more than her yearly salary. The pieces glittered on the floor like broken ice. I'm sorry, sir," Marla whispered, bending to pick up the glass with trembling fingers. Damien's blood boiled. "Do you have any idea what that is worth?" She flinched. "I didn't mean. Don't you dare touch it!" Damien roared, striding toward her. "You think a sorry fixes thousands of dollars? You useless!" He raised his hand. And before anyone could process it, someone darted in front of him. Sienna Clark, one of the youngest maids, stood between them, arms spread, chest rising and falling fast. "Stop," she shouted. "Don't touch her." Damien froze mid-motion, stunned by her audacity. "Move," he warned. "Now." "No," she said, her voice steadier than her shaking legs. "I won't let you hit her." "Do you want to lose your job?" Damien asked, voice cold enough to freeze air. "I'd rather lose my job than let you make the biggest mistake of your life," she said. Marla's eyes widened in horror at Sienna's bravery. "Sienna, please, don't." But Sienna didn't move. Damien's fury simmered dangerously. "You're protecting a woman who can't even hold a statue properly?" "I'm protecting the only person in this mansion who actually protected you," Sienna said quietly. Damien blinked, thrown off. "What the hell is that supposed to mean?" Sienna swallowed. "It means there's something you need to know. Something you should have known years ago." Damien scoffed. "If this is another ridiculous rumor." "It's not a rumor," she whispered. "It's the truth." The staff watched from doorways, terrified. Sienna exhaled shakily. "Marla isn't just a cleaner. She's not who you think she is." Marla shook her head violently. "Sienna, stop. Please. Don't do this." But Sienna met Damien's eyes and said the words that shattered everything he thought he knew. "She's your birth mother." Dead silence. Damien stared at her like she'd slapped him. Then he turned to Marla, who was crying silently, her shoulders trembling as if she'd been stabbed. "What did you just say?" Damien whispered. Sienna didn't blink. "She's your mother. Your real mother." Damien let out a bitter laugh, one that didn't reach his eyes. "You've lost your mind." "It's the truth," she insisted. Damien stepped closer, towering over Sienna. "Explain. Now." "Not here," she said. "Please. Not in front of everyone." Damien looked around at the staff watching with wide, fearful eyes. He grabbed Sienna's arm, not violently, but firmly, and pointed at Marla. "You. Get up. Both of you, my study. Now." Marla hesitated, shaking uncontrollably. "I don't want trouble." "You already brought trouble," Damien spat. "Move." Sienna gently helped Marla stand, and they followed Damien down the long hallway. Every step felt like walking toward a storm. Inside the study, Damien slammed the door shut hard enough to rattle the shelves. "Talk," he ordered. Sienna pulled out a small metal box she'd been hiding behind her. She placed it on his desk. "What is this?" Damien asked sharply. "Open it," Sienna said quietly. Damien hesitated, then flicked open the lid. His breath caught. Inside were old photographs, faded, slightly torn at the edges. A newborn baby wrapped in a soft blanket. A young woman holding him with tears rolling down her cheeks. Damien's heart lurched. He picked up another photo. And another. They were all the same newborn, the same woman. He looked at Marla. He didn't want to see it. But he saw it. The eyes. The mouth. The cheekbones. His features, softer, younger, rested in that woman's embrace. Something burned behind his ribs. "Where did you get these?" he asked, voice dangerously calm. Sienna answered. "Marla kept them. Hidden. For almost 30 years. Damien turned slowly to Marla. She flinched as his gaze met hers. "Why?" he asked. "Why would you keep pictures of me? Why would you let her say something like that? Why would you?" "I didn't tell her," Marla whispered. "She found them by accident. I begged her not to say anything." Damien slammed his hand on the desk, making both women jump. "Why do you have pictures of a baby that looks like me?" Tears streamed down Marla's cheeks. "Because you are that baby." Damien felt the floor tilt beneath him. "You're lying," he said. "You're trying to trick me for money. Or sympathy." Marla shook her head, crying harder. "I never asked you for money. I never wanted to ruin you. So what did you want?" Damien demanded. "Why would a cleaner pretend to be my?" "I'm not pretending," Marla cried, voice cracking. "I carried you. I gave birth to you. And I lost you." Damien froze. Sienna stepped forward. "She didn't lose you. You were taken." "Taken? By who?" Damien snapped. The door to the past opened slowly, by force. Marla's lips trembled. "By the woman you call your mother." Damien's jaw dropped. "No," he whispered. "No. That's impossible." "She took you from me," Marla sobbed. "I was young. I was poor. I worked in her house. And when you were born, she said you deserved a life better than mine. She told me she'd have me locked up if I fought her." Damien shook his head, pacing like a trapped animal. "Victoria Hart would never do that. She adopted me." Sienna's voice was firm. "She didn't adopt you. She stole you and created fake documents." Damien slammed his fist against the wall. "No. Victoria loves me. She raised me. She put me through school. She raised you to replace the child she could never have," Sienna said softly. "She didn't save you. She claimed you." Damien stopped breathing. "I don't believe you," he whispered. "I can't." Marla swallowed her sobs. "I came back to this mansion 15 years ago. Not to work. Not for money. But because I couldn't live knowing you were in the world, and I couldn't see you." Her voice cracked completely. "So I stayed close. As close as she would let me. Even though I could never call your name." Damien's face hardened with something dark: betrayal, confusion, rage. "And why," he asked slowly, "is this coming out now?" Sienna took a shaky breath. "Because Victoria plans to fire Marla tomorrow. And she said she would make sure Marla never comes near you again." Damien's face drained of color. Marla sobbed quietly. "I didn't want you to find out like this." Damien stared at the photos again, at the truth staring back at him, and felt everything inside him shatter. If you're following this intense moment, make sure you're subscribed and drop your thoughts in the comments, because what happens next will tear the mansion apart. Damien couldn't breathe. The walls felt as if they were closing in on him, the air thick and suffocating. He stared at the baby photos again, this time longer, deeper, desperately searching for a discrepancy, a flaw, something that would prove this wasn't real. But every picture punched him harder than the last. The curve of the baby's mouth. The faint dimple on the left cheek. The small birthmark near the collarbone. He had all of them. Damien staggered back from the desk like he'd been hit. "This is insane," he mumbled, rubbing his temples. This is insane. I don't even know you. None of this makes sense." "Because you were never meant to know," Sienna said quietly. Marla folded into herself, ashamed. "I'm sorry. I should never have let this happen." Damien snapped at her. "You shouldn't have let what happen? Keeping a box of lies? Letting someone else tell me you're my mother?" Marla flinched again, but she didn't look away. "I didn't tell her. I didn't tell anyone. I've lived in silence for 27 years. Damien's eyes burned with confusion and anger. "If any of this is true, why didn't you ever say something? Why didn't you fight?" Her voice came out in pieces. "Because Victoria had power. I had none. She said if I spoke, you'd be taken to another country. That I'd never see you again. She said I was unfit. Poor. Weak. A stain." Damien swallowed hard. Every word cut deeper. "She told me that you would have a better life without me," Marla whispered. "And I believed her." "You believed her?" Damien snapped. "You believed a woman who would steal a child." A broken sob escaped Marla's throat. "She told me you'd grow up safe. Educated. Loved. That she would tell you the truth when you were older. She promised me that." Damien stared at her, stunned. "She lied to you too?" Marla nodded, tears dripping into her lap. Damien turned away, hands in his hair. No. No. I can't accept this based on old pictures and emotional stories. I need facts. DNA. Records. Something real." Sienna exchanged a look with Marla. "We knew you'd say that." Damien whipped around. "What does that mean?" "It means," Sienna said slowly, "I already arranged for a DNA test." Marla gasped. "Sienna!" Damien's heart slammed in his chest. "You what?" "I took hair from your brush," she confessed. "And I asked Marla for a strand of hers." She pointed toward a sealed envelope on the desk. "The results arrived today." Damien stared at the envelope as if looking at a snake coiled and ready to strike. His breath grew shallow. He didn't reach for it. Sienna took a small step forward. "You don't have to open it now. But the truth is in there." Damien backed up a step. "Get out." Sienna's brows furrowed. "Damien." "I said get out," he roared. Marla recoiled as if the sound physically hit her. Sienna tried again, gently. "You're overwhelmed. We understand. But..." "Leave," Damien said, voice low, shaking. "Now." Sienna hesitated, looking at Marla. Marla nodded weakly and rose to her feet. Sienna helped her up, steadying her trembling form. Damien turned away from them. He couldn't look at either of them anymore. Couldn't breathe around them. Couldn't think. The women walked toward the door. Just before stepping out, Sienna paused and said softly, "No matter what you decide, please remember she never stopped loving you." "Not even once." Damien didn't respond. The door closed. Silence thundered inside the study. Damien stared at the envelope on his desk like it was a bomb about to explode. His chest felt tight. His pulse pounded in his ears. He reached out, then jerked his hand back. He paced. Saturday. Stood. Swore. Drank half a glass of water and threw the glass across the room. "This is insane," he kept repeating. "This can't be real. Victoria wouldn't, she wouldn't do something like that." But even as he said it out loud, something inside him twisted. He remembered things. Moments. Odd, buried memories. Victoria avoiding talking about his birth. The strange way she stiffened whenever he asked about his biological parents. The absence of baby photos before age 3. Her refusal to talk about his adoption papers except through lawyers handling everything. He had brushed it all aside. Because she was Victoria Hart, untouchable, immaculate, powerful. But now. Damien sank into his chair and covered his face with both hands. He sat there for nearly an hour, shaking. Meanwhile, outside the study, Sienna sat on the stairs holding Marla, who couldn't stop crying. He hates me, Marla sobbed. I waited so long, and now he hates me. Sienna hugged her tighter. He doesn't hate you. He's shocked. You just tore the foundation of his life apart. Anyone would crumble. I should have died before letting him see me like this, Marla whispered. I look like a failure. You look like a mother, Sienna said. A heartbroken one. But still a mother. Back inside the study, Damien finally lifted his head. His eyes were red, his breath uneven, but something had changed. He looked at the envelope again, and with trembling fingers, he reached for it. He held it in both hands, staring at the seal. He inhaled shakily, then stopped. The front door slammed somewhere in the mansion. Damien's head snapped up. A familiar voice echoed through the hallway. Where is he? Victoria Hart had arrived. Damien froze. Footsteps, furious, sharp, unyielding, stormed toward the study. Sienna and Marla scrambled to their feet as Victoria strode in like a whirlwind draped in diamonds and rage. What is going on in my house? She demanded, eyes wild. Why are the staff whispering? Why is the security team acting like someone died? And why did my son lock himself in the study? Damien stepped out slowly, envelope still in hand. Victoria noticed it instantly. Her eyes widened. What is that? Damien's voice was steady, but cold. Truth. Victoria's gaze darted to Marla, who immediately lowered her head, trembling. Sienna stood protectively beside her. Victoria's eyes narrowed. What did you tell him? Damien answered instead. She told me she's my mother. Victoria went pale. For the first time in Damien's life, she looked afraid. Damien, she whispered. Listen to me, whatever she told you, it's a lie. She's mentally unstable. The staff have always known she imagines things. Stop it, Damien shouted. Victoria flinched. Sienna stepped forward. Don't you dare call her unstable. She kept her silence out of fear you created. Victoria ignored her and looked only at Damien. You're being manipulated. She wants money. That's what people like her always want. Damien blared. She never asked for a single cent. Of course that's what she wants. Victoria screamed. Why else would she show you pictures? Fake documents? Why else would she? Damien lifted the envelope. Victoria's face drained of all color. Oh God, she whispered. You didn't. Damien held her gaze. I did. Victoria took a shaky step backward. Damien, please, don't open that. Why? He asked softly. What are you afraid of? Victoria's lips trembled. Damien. I raised you. I gave you everything. I loved you. You lied to me, he said. My entire life. She opened her mouth but no words came out. Damien tore open the envelope. Victoria screamed, Damien, stop. But it was too late. The paper slid out. Damien read the first line. His breath left him. His knees nearly buckled. It said, probability of maternity, 99.9%. Match, Marla Rivers. Marla covered her mouth, sobbing. Sienna let out a soft gasp of relief. Victoria shook her head violently. No. 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 That test is forged. She's tricking you. Enough, Damien said, voice dangerously quiet. He stepped forward. You stole me, he said. Didn't you? Victoria's eyes filled with pure terror. She couldn't answer. And that was answer enough. If you're still watching and feeling this shocking moment, make sure to subscribe, like this video, and tell us in the comments what you think Damien should do next. Because the next part of this story will tear open the truth even deeper. Victoria's lips trembled, but no sound came out. For once, the woman who always had an answer, a spin, a script, had nothing. Damien stared at her like he'd never seen her before. You stole me, he repeated, his voice low, controlled, terrifying. From her. He pointed at Marla without looking away from Victoria. Marla cried harder, shaking uncontrollably. Sienna tightened her grip on her shoulders, whispering, breathe. Just breathe. Victoria finally found her voice, but it came out broken. I did what was necessary. Damien's eyes darkened. You took a child from his mother and you call that necessary? Victoria stepped toward him, desperation creeping into her movements. You don't understand what it was like for me. We were married for 5 years and I couldn't give your father a child. Miscarriage after miscarriage. Hospital after hospital. He started looking at me like I was defective. Like I was the reason our family name wouldn't continue. And that gave you the right to destroy someone else's family? Damien asked. I didn't destroy anything, she said sharply. I saved you. From what? He demanded. From poverty? From a woman who loved me? She had nothing. Victoria snapped, pointing at Marla with a shaking hand. She was a maid. Living in a room with a leaking roof and a broken bed. She couldn't feed herself, let alone a baby. You would have grown up sick, uneducated, trapped in a cycle of misery. Marla squeezed her eyes shut as if the words physically hurt. Sienna glared. You mean she wasn't rich enough to deserve her own son? Victoria hissed, stay out of this. Damien's jaw tightened. She's already in this. He turned to Marla. Is that true? Were you poor? Struggling? Marla nodded silently, shame burning her cheeks. Yes, she whispered. I was poor. I was alone. But I was ready to work myself to death to raise you. I would have done anything. And I did it for you, Victoria said, her voice rising again. I gave you the life she never could. Look around. She gestured at the mansion. This is because of me. Your education, your company, your status. My name, Damien cut in, is built on a crime you committed. Victoria stared at him, wounded. You're really going to erase everything I've done for you because of one decision made decades ago? One decision, he repeated, incredulous. You didn't forget to sign a form, Victoria. You ripped a baby out of his mother's arms and made her watch him grow up as the cleaner in the house that used to be hers. The words landed like blows. Marla let out a sound between a sob and a gasp. I never blamed you, she whispered to Damien. Not once. I only blamed myself. For being too weak. For not fighting harder. You were never weak, Sienna said softly. You were outnumbered. Victoria threw her head back. This is outrageous. A cleaner and a maid are now dictating what is true in my house. I won't stand for it. This isn't your house, Damien said. Not anymore. Her eyes snapped to his. What did you just say? Damien took a step closer. You don't own this place. You don't own me. And you don't own the truth. Victoria laughed bitterly. You think the board will side with you? They owe everything to me. I built Hearttech. I turned this family name into power. They won't risk that for some sentimental revelation. Damien's eyes were cold. I'm not talking about sentiment. I'm talking about legal crimes, falsified documents, and a public image built on a kidnapping. Victoria flinched. Don't you dare use that word. It's the right word, he replied. She inhaled sharply, steadying herself. Her tone turned dangerously soft. If you take this public, you'll burn everything down. The company. The brand. Your career. You will go down with me. Maybe, he said. But at least I'll know who I really am. The room vibrated with tension. No one moved. Finally, Victoria's eyes flicked to the DNA report on the desk. Her shoulders sagged, just a fraction. I loved you, she said quietly. More than anything. That wasn't fake. Damien's expression wavered, not because he forgave her, but because part of him still remembered the woman who had kissed his forehead goodnight when he was sick, who had sat front row at his graduation, who had clapped the loudest at every speech he ever made. That may be true, he said. But love doesn't erase what you did. It doesn't erase what you took from her. Marla shook her head, tears streaming. I never wanted you to lose her, she whispered. I knew you loved her. I just wanted to stand in the same room with you without pretending you were nothing to me. Victoria's head whipped toward her. You had no right to come back here. I had every right, Marla said, surprising herself with the strength in her voice. I carried him. I nearly died giving birth to him. I heard his first cry. I named him. And then you took him and gave him a different name like I never existed. Damien's chest hurt. You named me? Marla nodded, sobbing. Yes. What was it? He asked. She smiled through her tears. Jonah. It means dove. I wanted you to have peace, even if I never did. The name hit him like a wave. He closed his eyes for a second, swallowing hard. Victoria rolled her eyes. Cute. But completely irrelevant to his life. Damien snapped, It's not irrelevant to me. He opened his eyes and looked at Marla. I'm sorry I never knew. You have nothing to be sorry for, she whispered. You did nothing wrong. Victoria scoffed. This is pathetic. A performance of victimhood. Sienna stepped forward. You know what's pathetic? Needing to crush a woman's entire life just to feel whole. Victoria's glare could cut glass. You're fired. Sienna smirked. I'd be worried if you wanted to keep me. Damien raised a hand. She's not fired. You don't decide that anymore. Victoria stared at him like he'd slapped her. You're turning on me, for them? I'm not turning on you, he said. I'm turning toward the truth. If you had told me yourself, we could have handled this differently. But you chose lies. Again. Her mask cracked again. I did what I had to do. If I hadn't taken you, you wouldn't be Damien Hart. You'd be Jonah Rivers, struggling in some rundown apartment. Maybe, he said. Or maybe I'd still be a CEO. Or a teacher. Or a mechanic. You didn't steal my future because you wanted to save me. You stole it because you couldn't handle not having what she had, a child. Victoria's hands shook with fury. You're ungrateful. Damien let out a humorless laugh. You sound more worried about your ego than my life. Do you have any idea what this will do to us? She spat. To Hardtech? To our shareholders? To the reputation I bled for? To our reputation, he corrected. And it'll be your own fault. He turned to Sienna. Call the legal team. I want an urgent meeting with the board. Today. Victoria's jaw dropped. You can't be serious. I've never been more serious, he said. Sienna nodded and pulled out her phone. On it. Marla watched, wide-eyed. What are you going to do? Damien looked at her, and for the first time, there was something soft in his eyes. I'm going to stop this from happening to anyone else. And I'm going to make sure what she did to you is not buried as family business. Victoria's voice turned icy. You'd ruin me. You ruined yourself, he said. Damien, she tried again, tears finally appearing in her eyes. I know what I did was wrong. But I loved you. Doesn't that matter at all? He hesitated. It did matter. It mattered more than he wanted it to. But it didn't change the fact that Marla had spent nearly 3 decades cleaning floors in the house that should have been hers, watching from the shadows while another woman lived the life of a mother she was denied. It matters, he said quietly. But it's not enough. Victoria's eyes shuddered over. The softness vanished, replaced by cold rage. Fine. Go ahead. Destroy your own mother. See if that fills the hole you're feeling. He looked at her, unflinching. You're not the only one with that title anymore. That sentence broke something between them that couldn't be put back together. Victoria stared at him one last time, then turned on her heel and stormed out of the study, slamming the door behind her. The echo lingered long after she was gone. Damien exhaled shakily, sinking into the chair. Marla watched him, guilt and awe battling in her expression. You didn't have to do this for me, she said softly. I never wanted to be the reason you lost her. He shook his head. You were never the reason. She was. Sienna tucked her phone away. The legal team says they'll have the board gathered in an hour. They sounded concerned. Good, Damien said. They should be. Marla wrung her hands. What will happen to her? That depends on the investigation, Damien said. On the laws she broke. On the documents we uncover. Marla looked down. I don't want to see her in handcuffs, she whispered. I just wanted the truth. Damien stared at her, astonished. She stole your child. How can you be this kind? I'm not kind, Marla said. I'm tired. I've carried anger for so long it felt like part of my body. I don't want it anymore. Sienna sighed. You're still kinder than she deserves. Damien rubbed his temples. I have to leave soon. But I need you both to stay here. Don't talk to the press. Don't sign anything. Don't let anyone into this house unless I say so. Sienna nodded. We'll be careful. He looked at Marla. Can I ask you something? She swallowed. Anything. When you came back to this mansion, and you saw me as an adult, what did you think? He asked. She smiled through tears. I thought, he survived. I thought, he made it. I was proud. So proud. Even if you never knew why this old cleaner kept staring a little too long. His chest twisted painfully. Did you ever hate me? For hugging her. For calling her mom. No, Marla whispered immediately. Never. A mother doesn't hate her child for surviving. I only hated myself for not being the one you ran to. His throat closed up. He looked away, blinking rapidly. Sienna watched him, her gaze soft. You should go, she said gently. Do what you have to do. We'll be here when you come back. He nodded, stood, and walked to the door. Just before leaving, he glanced back at Marla. For the first time, he let the word slip awkward, unfamiliar, but real. I'll be back. Mom! Marla broke. She covered her face with her hands, sobbing openly now. Sienna wrapped her in a hug as Damien left the room, carrying the weight of 2 women's lives and his own shattered identity into the storm waiting outside. If this story has you feeling every beat with Damien, Marla, and Sienna, make sure you're subscribed, hit the like button, and drop a comment about what you would do in his place, because the next part is where everything goes public. The drive to Hearttech headquarters felt shorter than usual, even though the city outside was a blur of steel, glass, and noise. Damien barely saw any of it. His mind replayed the same words again and again. You were mine. I did what was necessary. I named you Jonah. He clenched his jaw and forced himself to sit straight in the back seat as the driver wove through traffic. "Sir," the driver asked cautiously, "should I avoid the main entrance? There are reporters." "Of course there are," Damien muttered. He checked his phone. Notifications flooded his screen: news alerts, missed calls, messages from investors and friends. One headline caught his eye. Hearttech CEO's personal life at the center of wild allegations, Victoria Hart responds. His stomach dropped. He opened it. The article featured a photograph of Victoria outside a studio, her expression carefully composed, eyes red like she'd just cried or made herself look like she had. "My son is being manipulated," Victoria Hart said in an exclusive interview. Two longtime employees, one with a history of emotional instability, have stolen personal artifacts to create the illusion of a biological connection. "I adopted my son legally. Any suggestion otherwise is not only false, it is cruel." Damien read it twice, each sentence a knife. "She got to them first," he murmured. When the car stopped in front of the building, reporters swarmed the vehicle instantly. "Mr. Hart, is it true your cleaner is claiming to be your mother? Are you being blackmailed? Did your mother illegally adopt you? Is Hearttech's future at risk because of this scandal?" Security pushed them back just enough to open the door. Damien stepped out, expression blank, suit immaculate, heart in chaos. "No comment," he said simply, pushing through the noise and flashing cameras into the building. The lobby was tense. Employees watched him with a mix of curiosity, fear, and sympathy. He strode toward the elevator without slowing down. In the boardroom, the atmosphere was thicker than the city smog. The directors were already seated, papers in front of them, screens glowing with stock charts and news segments. Mr. Hart, one of them, an older man named Foster, greeted him carefully. This situation escalated quickly. Damien didn't bother sitting. "That's what happens when lies are left alone for decades," he said. A woman in her 50s, Evelyn Shaw, one of the toughest voices on the board, leaned forward. "We've all seen the interview. Victoria claims she's being targeted." "She is," Damien said. "By the truth." Some shifted uncomfortably. Others watched him, waiting. Evelyn gestured toward the folder in his hand. "Is that the test?" "Yes," he said. "And," she asked. "It proves that I am biologically related to Marla Rivers," he replied. 99.9% match. "She is my mother. Victoria is not." Silence dropped like a stone. Foster cleared his throat. "Damien, do you understand what it means if this gets out? The media will spin it as a kidnapping. The company's founder implicated in a moral and legal nightmare. Our stock." "Public opinion is already shifting," Evelyn interrupted, nodding at her tablet. "At first, everyone believed Victoria. Now people are asking questions. They want to hear from you." "That's why I'm here," Damien said. "I'm not asking you to protect me. I'm asking you to choose whether this company stands for integrity or cover-ups." A younger board member frowned. "Is there a way we can settle this privately? Pay off the cleaner. Issue a quiet correction about the adoption. Have Victoria step back from public life for health reasons and move on?" Damien's voice sharpened. "I will not let you reduce my mother to the cleaner in a payoff deal." The man flinched. Evelyn watched Damien closely. "What do you want us to do?" He took a deep breath. "First, remove Victoria Hart from all positions effective immediately. No honorary titles. No advisory roles. Second, authorize a full internal and external legal review of all documents related to my adoption. Third, support me when I go public with the truth." "You're planning to go public?" Foster asked, alarmed. "Yes," Damien said. "If I stay silent, the only story people hear is hers. The victim narrative she crafted. The dangerous, manipulative lie. I won't let that stand." One of the board members spoke quietly, almost reluctantly. "You know this could cost us millions." Maybe more. It'll cost us more if it comes out later that we tried to bury it, Damien replied. We can't control what Victoria has already said. But we can control whether Hartek looks complicit or accountable. Evelyn sat back, her gaze not leaving his face. You sound like a leader, she said. Not just a son in pain. I'm both, Damien said. There was a pause as the weight of that honesty settled over the room. Finally, Evelyn nodded. Then we vote. The vote was tense. Voices quiet, faces tight. Not everyone agreed. Some clung to Victoria's legacy. Some worried only about the practical damage to their portfolios. But enough of them understood what it meant to pick a side when truth and power collided. By the end of it, the decision was reached. Victoria Hart would be temporarily removed due to personal and legal review, pending the outcome of the investigation. Damien would assume full executive control. It was still softer than he wanted. But it was a start. As the meeting ended, Evelyn approached him. You know they'll still try to spin this, she said. They'll call you ungrateful. Disloyal. Damien's jaw tightened. Let them. I'd rather be called ungrateful than complicit. She studied him a moment. Do you have a plan for how you're going to say this? No script, he said. No PR team. I'll speak for myself. She nodded once. Then make sure you're speaking to more than just shareholders. This isn't a quarterly report. This is your entire life. He knew. Back at the mansion, Marla sat at the kitchen table with a mug of tea growing cold in her hands. She kept staring at her reflection in the dark liquid like it might show her the future. Sienna paced nearby, glancing at the clock, at her phone, at the window where reporters' shadows moved outside the gate. You should eat something, Sienna said. Marla shook her head. My stomach is tied in knots. My hands feel like they aren't even mine. He'll come back, Sienna said. He said he would. Marla closed her eyes. The last time someone told me they'd come back, it took them 15 years. I'm trying not to hope too loudly. Sienna's chest tightened. You're allowed to hope. You're his mother. The word still felt alien coming from other people's mouths. Marla swallowed hard. Do you really think he meant it? When he called me Mom? Sienna smiled softly. He didn't have to say it. But he did. A car engine rumbled outside. They both looked up. Moments later, the front door opened. Damien stepped in, his shoulders heavy, his expression strained but clear in a way it hadn't been before. How did it go? Sienna asked immediately. He took a breath. She's out. Officially. At least for now. The board voted. Marla's hands flew to her mouth. You did that, because of me? I did it because of what she did, he said. But yes. Because of you too. Sienna folded her arms. And the company? Shaken, but still standing, Damien said. For now. Sienna nodded slowly. What about the world? Damien glanced at the living room. They're waiting. He moved into his office, the one room in the mansion that had always felt like his and not Victoria's. Sienna followed, helping him set up the camera and laptop. No lighting tricks, he said. No filters. Just me. You sure? She asked. Yes. Marla lingered hesitantly near the doorway. Do you want me to be in it? He turned to her. Not this time. This story started because I didn't know who I was. They need to hear from me first. If you ever want to speak too, that'll be your choice. She nodded, relieved and nervous all at once. I'll be right outside. Sienna adjusted the frame. Damien sat, exhaled, and looked straight into the camera lens. You go live when you're ready, Sienna said. He thought of Victoria's interview. Of the script. Of the carefully placed tears. of the way she'd called Marla unstable. He thought of Marla whispering Jonah. "I'm ready," he said. Sienna clicked the button. A small red indicator blinked to life. "Stream is live," she whispered. "They're watching." Damien's heart pounded, but his voice came out steady. "My name is Damien Hart," he said. "And for the first time in my life, I'm going to tell you who I actually am." If you're still with this story and feeling every moment with Damien, Marla, and Sienna, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments, because the last part of this story is where truth, justice, and emotion collide for real. Damien stared into the camera, the soft hum of the equipment the only sound grounding him. For a moment, he didn't move, didn't blink, he just breathed, letting the reality of the moment settle in his chest. "My name is Damien Hart," he began, voice steady but thick with something deeper, something fragile. "Most of you know me as the CEO of HartTech. Some of you know me as the son of Victoria Hart. But today, I need to tell you who I really am." The live chat on the screen exploded instantly, heart emojis, shocked faces, frantic messages, but Damien didn't look at it. "I found out today that the woman who raised me, the woman the world calls a visionary, built her life and mine on a lie." His throat tightened. He forced himself to continue. 27 years ago, a child was taken from his mother. That child was me. In the hall outside the office, Marla leaned against the wall, trembling. Sienna held her hand. Inside the room, Damien clasped his fingers together. "The woman you've seen working quietly in the background of some company events, the woman most people overlook because she wears a cleaner's uniform, she is my biological mother. Marla Rivers." A gasp rippled through the live chat, comments raced upward so fast the screen could barely keep up. Damien swallowed hard. "She didn't give me up. She didn't abandon me. She didn't forget me. She was tricked. Threatened. Silenced. And then, she was forced to work in the same house where her stolen child grew up. Watching me from across rooms she wasn't allowed to belong in." His voice cracked on that last sentence. Sienna looked away, wiping a tear. Damien continued. "I didn't believe it at first. I thought it was insane. Impossible. I thought my mother, the woman I knew, would never do such a thing." His fingers tightened. "But I got a DNA test. And the truth became undeniable." He held up the sealed report, the exact one he had read only hours earlier. "I am her son. She is my mother. And the person the world has admired for decades built her power on destroying another woman's life." He exhaled shakily, the confession draining years of weight from his shoulders. "You're going to hear Victoria Hart say I'm confused. Manipulated. You're going to hear her call Marla unstable or a liar. You may already have seen her interview. All I ask is that you listen to me now, here, without a script, without a PR team whispering what to say." He leaned forward. "I am not confused. And Marla Rivers is not unstable. She is a mother. A mother who had everything stolen from her." His jaw clenched, pain flickering in his eyes. "And she still found it in her heart to forgive the woman who hurt her. Something I'm not sure I can do yet." Marla covered her mouth as a sob escaped her. Sienna squeezed her shoulders tighter. Damien straightened. "I don't know what this means for my future. For HartTech. For the empire that Victoria built. But I do know one thing, what she did cannot stay hidden anymore. And I refuse to be silent just to protect a legacy built on suffering." The comments exploded in waves: support, disbelief, heartbreak. Damien looked down for a moment, gathering strength. "I don't know how to be a son to Marla yet. I don't know what family means anymore. But I'm going to try. And I'm going to make sure she never has to hide in her own home again." He breathed deeply. "That's all I have to say for now. Thank you for listening. And, please be kind to her. She's been through enough." He looked off camera. "Sienna, end it." Sienna clicked the button. The stream ended. Silence. Damien sat there for a moment staring at the blank screen. His breath shook. His hands trembled. Then he stood. When he opened the door, Marla and Sienna were waiting, frozen, worried, hopeful. Marla stepped back instinctively, lowering her head. Decades of conditioning making her small in front of him. Damien approached her slowly. She lifted her eyes, brimming with fear and love. He whispered, "You heard all that?" She nodded. "Yes." He swallowed. "I meant every word." Marla didn't move. She was too afraid of misreading the moment. Damien hesitated, then gently reached out and took her hand. Her breath hitched. He pulled her into his arms. Marla broke down, sobbing against his chest, her fingers gripping the back of his shirt like she was afraid he might disappear. "I'm here," he whispered, voice cracking. "I'm here now." Sienna looked away, tears on her own cheeks. "I'm sorry," Damien said into Marla's hair. "I'm sorry you suffered. I'm sorry I never knew. I'm sorry she made you watch from the sidelines of my life." Marla shook her head, sniffling. "No. No, don't be sorry. I got to see you grow. Even if it was only from a distance. I was grateful for every glimpse." His eyes burned. "I should have been calling you Mom," he said softly. "Not her." Marla stepped back, cupping his face with trembling hands. "You can call me whatever feels right. I don't need a title. Just, don't shut me out anymore." "I won't," he promised. Sienna cleared her throat lightly. "You should know, the reporters outside have already seen the stream. The news is spreading." Damien nodded. "Let them spread it." Marla wiped her eyes. "Are you afraid? For the company? For everything you've built?" Damien shook his head. "I'm more afraid of living another day in a lie than telling the world the truth." Sienna exhaled. "Then we face whatever comes next." A knock suddenly echoed through the hallway. All three turned. Samuel, one of the senior security staff, stepped forward, tense. "Sir, we found Victoria." Damien's heart skipped. "Where?" Samuel hesitated. "She tried to sneak into the back gate. Said she needed to speak to you." Marla gasped in fear. No, please, she'll twist things again. She'll try to take you from me again." Damien stepped in front of her protectively. "It's okay," he said. "She can't hurt you anymore." He followed Samuel out, leaving Sienna to comfort Marla. Outside, Victoria stood near the garden, her once immaculate hair wild, her makeup smeared with sweat and tears. Not the poised woman from the interview, but someone frantic, cornered, unraveling. When she saw Damien, she rushed forward. "Damien, listen to me, please. Please don't walk away from me." He held up a hand. "Stop." She froze. Her voice broke. "I know you're angry. I know you're confused. But don't do this. Don't ruin everything we've built." Damien stared at her. "You mean what you built on a crime?" She shook her head violently. "No. I built you. Every piece of who you are is because of me." "No," Damien said. "Every piece of who I am is despite what you did." Victoria covered her face, sobbing. "I loved you more than anything." "I believe that," Damien said quietly. "But love doesn't justify what you did." She dropped her hands and stared at him, devastated. "So that's it? You choose her over me?" He paused. It would have been easier to say yes or no. But the truth was more complicated. "I'm choosing honesty," he said. "You lied." She didn't. Victoria's chest rose and fell rapidly. "You're going to destroy me," she whispered. "You destroyed yourself," Damien replied. They stood there for a long moment, mother and son, connected and broken, bound together by love and lies. Finally, Damien stepped back. "You need to leave." She reached for him, but he moved away. "Please," she whispered. "Don't do this." "It's already done," he said. Security guided her toward the gate. Victoria looked back one last time, eyes full of anguish, and then she was gone. Damien returned inside. Marla was still standing where he left her, hands clasped, hope flickering in her tear-filled eyes. He walked up to her and said softly, "She's gone." Marla nodded slowly, almost afraid to believe it. "And you?" "I'm here," Damien said. "With you." She let out a trembling breath, collapsing into his arms again, this time not in fear, but in relief. Sienna watched them, smiling through her tears. "You too," she whispered, "deserve a new beginning." Marla held Damien's face in her hands. "What happens now?" Damien smiled faintly, the first soft smile he had given all day. "Now," he said, "we start over." And for the first time since he stepped into that mansion as a child, Damien felt like the walls around him belonged to him, not to a lie, not to a crime, not to a legacy built in shadows. He had his life back. He had his truth. And he had a mother who never stopped loving him, even when she wasn't allowed to say his name. If you followed this story to the end, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps us bring more powerful story.